Alright, Tekken has had its share of surprises and guest characters, but could the face of a violent franchise fit in the almost equally insane world of the King of Iron Fist? Well, today I'ma find out when I remove Scorpion from Mortal Kombat entirely and place him in the wild world of Tekken. First question, what does a Tekken Hanzo Hasashi look like? Well, for starters, I had the benefit of coming up with two different designs for Scorpion. This way I could make looks for him both in the vein of a Tekken-esque character design. For his first skin, I could make a design that looks close to a Scorpion design that's a more grounded blend of his Mortal Kombat look and the look of whatever a Tekken version of a resurrected ninja looks like, without ripping off Yoshimitsu. We'll also get to his lore a little bit later on. I wanted him to have a somewhat armored look, but that's also very dark for a ninja in this game. I didn't want him looking wild like Yoshi, nor did I want him to be somewhat colorful like Tekken 8's Raven looks, or even Master Raven for that matter. He was gonna stick to his black and yellow color scheme here. I also designed him with clothing features of an actual scorpion tail, but for the sake of making him unique for Tekken. And to further make him stand out, I removed his ninja hood in both attires. Truth be told, while I did want to make a ninja Scorpion here, he actually seems more samurai than ninja at times. Which, again, that's a fine line, so does Yoshimitsu. For his second design, I wanted to make a look that seems like it will almost be out of place for Scorpion in Mortal Kombat and could only be done in Tekken, all while still holding true to the essence of what the original character is, or was, I should say. Hanzo Hasashi, of course, is no longer Scorpion in Mortal Kombat 1. I gave him a blend of a warrior or almost a Ronin look that still keeps a similar color palette, just a little more washed out in this one. Honestly, it's very hard not to make him look like a traditional Mortal Kombat ninja if you even remotely stay true to the character. The complication of doing a design like this in the first place. Scorpion has gone through so many radical changes that it makes it difficult sometimes to come up with new ones, especially without the crutch of relying on AI to make the design for you, so you pretty much have to think way outside the box. But this was the base of what I would call Tekken Scorpion. By the way, quick pause to remind you to like, subscribe, and hit the hype button for me if you haven't. Now for his moveset. With Mortal Kombat and Tekken obviously being two wildly different fighting games, it would seem on his face that Scorpion wouldn't fit in Tekken very easily. However, that couldn't be further from the truth. There are attacks and styles that sort of could be used to help make as close to a Scorpion equivalent or something that would seem like a nice Scorpion for Tekken actually makes sense. Then again, if you look at the 3D era of Mortal Kombat specifically, real martial arts moves were given to each character which would help to make Scorpion fit in the grounded world of Tekken much better, taking into account fighting styles like Hapkido and whatnot. A Tekken Scorpion would need to keep his speed and mobility, and for the sake of not killing the character, I wouldn't necessarily change too many of his moves, like the spear for example. I could imagine how annoying such a move would be in a Tekken game, however. Certain things like a few Mishima style strikes, or Yoshimitsu and Kunimitsu like moves would serve him well here. I took a look at some Tekken characters just to see whose moves or styles would work well with Scorpion, and a few stand out. For one, Lars' silent entry stance attacks I feel like would work perfect for him, especially with the attires that I had designed for him as well. Could almost picture him doing these. Also, a lot of some of Elias's teleports and dive kicks I feel like would work very well for Scorpion too. Personally, some Warp Strike-like attacks will work very well with Scorpion's spear attacks, but Soul Calibur's Ivy also has different strikes that I also again feel like would work very well. She has a very close equivalent to a spear to begin with. Certain Jin and even Brian attacks I would mix in, which may or may not make him a bit OP, but I don't really care. I'd even go as far as to give Scorpion an equivalent of Jin's mental alertness. Just slip in some fire somehow. For other moves like his lows or mix-ups, I believe Warong's, I think it's down 4-4, and Lars' sweeps will work very well for Scorpion. And for his rage art, Honestly, let's be real. If you take any combination of Yoshimitsu's rage art, specifically his Tekken 7 one, and any of his fatal blows from MK1 or MK11, you could just call it a day from there. Just make them significantly less bloody. I think that goes without saying. There's a chance that a Tekken Scorpion could be kind of broken. I know people will be very annoyed with him online. I don't care. There's enough annoying Tekken characters, and being honest, this is never not going to be a thing. And let's be real, this is all make-believe to begin with. Now his lore. The story of Scorpion in Mortal Kombat is a pretty simple one. He was a renowned ninja from a clan known as the Shirai Ryu and was killed by Sub-Zero. The sorcerer Quan Chi resurrected him as a hell spawn only after murdering his entire family and clan, which he wasn't aware of at the start.
You will pay for the massacre of my clan and family.
For his Tekken story, I'm not altering any piece of that story that I really don't have to. He doesn't need to change too much from what his Mortal Kombat story is to fit in Tekken. He just needs to change enough to actually fit in the Tekken universe. He would still be a legendary ninja killed by a rival clan of somehow, but only now they would be responsible for his clan's murder, unlike the Lin Kuei in Mortal Kombat that were kind of set up. To further this, the gap in time I would extend to past almost centuries between Scorpion's death and resurrection. Or, more importantly, the death of Hanzo Hasashi and his resurrection as Scorpion. I could almost see people now saying that this sounds like too ridiculous of a story for Mortal Kombat to fit in Tekken, and to anyone who would say that, let me remind you, Tekken is a series that let Kazuya use G Corporation to resurrect dinosaurs that had long since been extinct, and he taught them how to box. That's right, if you didn't remember, Alex exists. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a bear that knows Mishima style fighting. So now, how do you explain his resurrection? Well, very simple. You remove the sorcery and replace it with science. A different way to almost say the same thing. G Corporation would find remnants of an old ninja clan, rumored to be known as the Shirai Ryu, and find the charred remains of a former Hanzo Hasashi, maybe even chained up and buried deep within a destroyed temple of some kind. Doing what G Corporation does, they tried numerous experiments and resurrected Hanzo using all sorts of science and cells from other animals and objects to sort of bring him back to life, with the purpose of creating a secret ninja army. In bringing Scorpion back from the dead, they didn't predict that he would go berserk and destroy the G Corporation's laboratory. Now powered with new armor and abilities, and thankfully before being cloned, Scorpion looks to seek out the blood of those who are responsible for his clan's demise and make them pay. He believes that clan, or their descendants, may very well be entering the King of Iron Fist tournament. This backstory easily sets up Scorpion's aim of vengeance at the Mishima clan, the Hachichos, or even the Manji clan. The potential rivals for Scorpion are actually pretty vast, setting up the story this way. While a Scorpion Mishima fight would be cool, and kinda obvious, a Scorpion Yoshimitsu fight would be out of control. Who am I kidding? Any of these characters in Scorpion would be crazy. Hell, even a Paul if we're being honest. For all intents and purposes, I highly doubt that we would ever see a Mortal Kombat character as a guest in Tekken, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't be fun to imagine if Bandai Namco did create the Hanzo Hasashi or Scorpion character. And let's be real, next to Johnny Cage, Scorpion is the most likely character to be selected for a Tekken game if Harada ever decided to hit up Netherrealm for a guest. But let me know what you think. What would you think of a Tekken version of Scorpion from Mortal Kombat? And if he did appear, would Bandai Namco need a Sub-Zero to also accompany him? That might be too much. In any event, like and subscribe and hit the hype button for me if you haven't. And you all have a good one, and I'm out.